do the recording before we go live. Okay. All right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, Mark Shaheed.
Alhamdulillah. Brother Henry Haseeb, how you doing this morning, bro?
I'm doing all right. I ain't done yet, so I'm still doing. Thank Allah for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Most
Alhamdulillah.
certainly.
Great day.
Yes,
Great
sir.
Thursday morning.
Yes, sir. So I think we got, what, about 2 minutes?
Yeah, about 2 minutes. Yeah.
And the end.
It's 5:58 a.m.
Yeah, it's about 2 minutes here. Well, we had some pretty unusual weather, really. More like springtime temperatures here.
Yeah. That's I was telling Sister Martha. That's the way it is down here too. But I think a cold front looked like just a rain. We supposed to start getting some rain the first of the week or something, and you know what happens after that.
Yeah.
You get a cold front right behind it.
Yeah, we always keep in mind that we in winter time.
We are in the winter.
Yes, sir. So they enjoy those days when you get them. You know,
the
cold is coming back.
No doubt about that.
What time is it?
The time is 5:59 a.m.
Okay, it's 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And Sister Martha, I don't see the disclaimer.
Okay, let me share it up there on the screen for you. One moment, everyone. I just did screen. One moment. There we go. That out the way. That out.
All right, I can see it now. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another edition of Solution to Critical Issues, where we talk about the issues that affect our everyday lives. The contents of the American Muslim 360 Broadcasting Network is intended for general information and community service purpose only. Views expressed by the host or the guests are their own and are not necessarily the official position of AM 360 or the parent corporation Community-Wide Shura, Inc., CWSC, or its board of directors. Contents is not designed to provide specific or personal medical, financial, legal, counseling, or other professional advice. No liability, explicit or implied, shall extend to the host, AM 360, or CWSC. We encourage you to consult an advisor for your specific circumstances. Assalamu alaikum again. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mark. We'll start off with Al Fatiha, and I shall do it in Arabic, and we'll ask you, Brother Mark, if you will repeat it in English for our English speaking audience.
Yes.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen.
With the name of God, the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer. All the praise and thanks belongs to Allah, the nourisher, the sustainer, the guardian, evolver, and teacher of all the systems of knowledge and science. The most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer, the sole owner, ruler, master, and judge of the day of judgment and religion. You alone do we worship, and you alone do we serve and work for, and you alone do we seek aid, assistance, and help. Guide us along the straight path, the path of those whom you have bestowed your favor and blessings, not the path of those who have incurred your displeasure and wrath, nor the path of those who went astray. I mean, Sadaka Allahudin, surely Allah has spoken the truth. Alhamdulillah. And Brother Henry, once again, it's good to be back. It seems like I've been away for 3 weeks or so or what, but we had the holiday season and all, and hopefully everybody had good holidays. We enter into the new year of the Gregorian calendar and all, and this becomes a peaceful, a productive, and a prosperous year for us as we are getting close to approaching the 9th month as we end the month. I think we're still in the month of Rajah, then Shaban, and then eventually Ramadan for us. I want to say that we have been embarking upon this theme throughout the past year, 2025, on education. And so Brother Henry and I, we decided to take a different approach in terms of education, and looking at the Quran as being real education. So once again, I want to remind those who may be listening in for the first time or later that the theme that we took for 2025 is we entering this year, we're still on that theme, is that Al-Quran, the final revelation, is real education that brings about the cultivation and the stimulation to and for a higher elevation of the human soul, the human heart, and the human intellect. And for those of you who've been with us throughout this journey of education, there is no higher education. There is no higher knowledge than we can get from the final revelation that we call Al-Quran. And that simply means that which should be read. That which should be read. And if it is read, it also should be studied and also understood, because this is the guidance, the direction, and correction for human life. That's why it's so very important. Every aspect of the human life is addressed in the Quran. And this is revelation of guidance coming from the Creator of the creation. And we have, for about 3 months, at least 3 months, we have been on the first surah of the Quran called Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha. And we have said that Al-Fatiha is the opening or the opener. And it's a continuous opening of the human consciousness in regards to Allah's natural creation and also his revelation. So it's the opening of Al-Quran, but it is also the opening of our consciousness in scripture that came before the Torah and also the Injil. We're just doing just a little slight review, But Imam Muhammad said it is the opening for the big book. The big book being the natural creation, the natural world that Allah has created. Some say universe, but the natural creation of the natural world that God has created. It opens the consciousness of the human creation in regards to that. This is how the human being has been able to progress through the natural creation. And we also want to look at Al-Fatiha as being the Mista. The Mista in terms, if you're talking about opening, a lot of times you are thinking or should be thinking about a key. It is seen as the Mista as the key. What key? The master key, in helping us to understand the other 113 surahs in the Quran. What we have said before, that is Kitab, is the mother of the book. And we know one of the attributes of the mother is to give birth. And it is the essence of the Quran, meaning that Al-Fatiha is very concise but very condensed, but it embodies the whole of the Quran. So those of you who have been with us, this is why we have spent so much time on this particular surah. It is the first surah that was revealed in its entirety. It is a Meccan surah. You know, you have Meccan surahs and you have Medina surahs. More of the Medina surahs that deals in terms of human society, the social order. After the Hijrah, after making the migration. And so revelation was coming in terms of actually giving guidance and direction in regards how human society was to be established. But the first 13 years of the Quran were in Mecca. And so those surahs were a lot different. It became like the foundation in terms of the social dynamic in which Prophet Muhammad and the Sahabas actually experienced. So we've been on this for about 3 months, and we have established some things in terms of themes. The first part of Al-Fatiha, we've said that this is what Allah revealed in regards to us in terms of what He wanted us to know in regards to Him. That He is the most merciful benefactor. He's the most merciful redeemer in redeeming man and saving man. That He is Rabbi Alameen. That He is the nourisher. He's the sustainer. He's the guardian, evolver of all the systems of knowledge, and especially for man. And in that evolving, it includes education. In the evolving of the human being includes education, not just a physical evolving in terms of the rest of creation. He not only creates, but He takes everything He creates to its created purpose, including the human being. This is very important. So for the human being to arrive at its created purpose, meaning that the human being has to be educated. And we talked about education in the root meaning from Latin, educare. Sounds like, that Allah is saying here that He cares about His creation. He doesn't just create and leave His creation. He gives guidance to His creation, to its destiny, and especially the human creation. Very important. And finally, Maliki Yawmiddin, which means that Allah is the sole owner, ruler, and master, but the judge of the day of judgment, where everything will come to a conclusion. And for the human being, it means judgment. And it means judgment in terms of what it is that we have done with this natural creation that Allah has created for this human creation? What have we done with it? And what have we done in terms of our own special creation, as Allah has given us an intellect, a free will, and the ability to absorb knowledge and put that knowledge to use? Have we used it for the good of ourselves and all of humanity? What have we done with the environment that Allah has given to us in terms of establishing our social environment? What have we done with the guidance of revelation when we went off course and was lost or went astray? What have we done with that? And then what have we done in terms of realizing our created purpose and God evolving us? So all of these things, there will be an end to all of these things. And for the human being, it will be judgment. Very, very important. And if we understand what Allah is saying to us in Al-Fatiha, it also means that we should be able to see and eliminate, eradicate anything and everything, anybody and everybody from worship. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. It is only you we worship, we serve, and we work for. It is only you that we're seeking aid, assistance, and help. And then Allah tells us in the next ayah, Ihdina siratal mustaqim. We're asking for the guidance to the straight path. So the human being, and we are speaking about the soul here. We had a session in terms of the soul. The soul has an orientation in it. The natural orientation of the soul before its influence is to seek God and worship God, to serve God. So this is the nature and the purpose of the soul. To seek God, who God is, and also to serve God. But to be able to do that, we need God's help. So in Ihdina siratal mustaqim actually says what the help is. Guidance. Guide us on the straight path that leads us straight to Allah's will and His way that He wants us to live our life. And then also the work that it is that we have to do. So we're not saying lead to Allah because Allah is not a person, a place, or a thing. So sometimes we have to watch the language that we use. We want to get closer to Allah's will for us. Not like say closer, like we say, I want to get closer to a family member. I want to move closer, or what? Not in that regard. Closer to what God's will in terms of conforming this free will that God has given to us with the will that He has for our created purpose. I hope this makes some sense. And then to further illustrate and specify what that path is, Siratal Ladina and Amta Alayhim, the path of those whom Allah has favored and blessed. So the evolving of the creation, especially the human creation, it evolves to the prophets. Those prophets, those messengers that received God's guidance and they lived it. And this includes those who were sincere followers of the prophets and messengers that were sent to them. They received the guidance from the prophets. We're talking about the Sahabas of that time, not only in the time of Prophet Muhammad, but in the prophets that preceded. And Allah has said in the Quran, there hasn't been a nation in which a messenger wasn't sent to. So this is the ones that have been favored and blessed. They received the guidance and then they live the guidance. So this really makes good sense for us. And then we have the Modubi, and we have the Darlene. Ira Modubi Darlene. And so we don't want to be on that path, because that path has been for those who received the guidance. They understood the guidance, but they rejected it. Yes, they just rejected it. Now, that was a segment of the Jews that did this, but this could be for any human being of any ethnic group. And it has been shown throughout history that there were those who received the guidance, but they rejected it. So these are the Modub. And you don't want to be the Modub, because then you will incur the displeasure of Allah. For the believer is to please Allah. The opposite is displeasure, to displease Allah, and to incur the wrath of Allah. And Allah says this all throughout the Quran. If you accept God's guidance, this is the recompense. This is what the pay is. This is what the reward is. But if you reject God's guidance, this is the recompense for those who reject it. He seals the heart, he seals the ears, and blinders are put over the eyes. And you won't be guided. You won't be able to hear. You won't have the sensitivity of what God's word, will, and way is. And then you have the Darlene. Starting out, you understand, seeking God, but misread. And we're talking about misread in Scripture. And this is what the Shaitan vowed to do, that he would lie the straight path. You see, all of these things that we have heard in the religion is in Al-Fatiha, the straight path that leads to what God's word, will, and way is, and direction and correction in life. The Shaitan vowed that he would be in the straight path. The straight path is in what we see Al-Rahim, the most merciful Redeemer. We find this in Revelation. So what was Shaitan say when he get in the straight path? I will get in what is revealed. That happened before the Quran. As much was changed, and especially in the Injil, the New Testament. So I just want to say, and so thus went astray. This becomes the people that we see as the Gnostic people, the people that only want to acknowledge one part of the life, the spiritual life only, not recognizing the social life that brings about a material reality. I know it says spiritual and material, but you have to understand that the human being is a social creature where we have social needs, food, clothing, shelter, and recognizing that responsibility and accepting it. It brings about the material reality. It brings about the economics that is needed for sustaining and maintaining the physical life. But it also brings about education. And we're going to get into that in future, I would say, episodes on this. This is a solution for critical issues. This is really a critical issue, Brother Henry. So I think the last time we left off, we were actually doing some ayats from different surahs, as I recall. It's been such a long time, so you can bring me up to snuff, and hopefully you got your Quran there. We was doing some ayats from different surahs, and we said that everything that is in the Quran, in the other 113 surahs in the Quran, we could at least one or maybe more of the 7 verses, oft-repeated verses in Al-Fatiha, we will see a likeness there. And we establish that throughout the Quran, we're going to see the four things that Allah says in the first three ayats that Imam Muhammad taught us. We're going to see Ar-Rahman, the most merciful benefactor, Ar-Rahim, the most merciful redeemer. We're going to see Ar-Rahman, that's going to be found in the natural world, the natural creation. We're going to see Ar-Rahim in terms of redeeming the human being, saving the human being through guidance and revelation. We're going to see Rabbi Alameen, that Allah is a nourisher, sustainer, guardian. He evolves everything in creation, and especially his human creation. And then we're going to see Maliki Yawmiddin, where there can be a conclusion for everything that has been created. And for man, it also will be a judgment for how he handled what was given to him in the natural creation, what was given to him specifically in his own creation, what he did with what was given in terms of guidance and direction in his life. And then did he evolve to the path of the prophets as models for all human beings? So I'll stop there, Brother Henry, and hopefully this was a...
All right, and I do have my Quran here, so Mark, so we do have it ready to go, so there. But as we get started, especially in as you mentioned before, what is considered here in the West a new year here, a lot of people are making the commitment. One of the commitments, especially that we as Muslims should be making, is to study and understand the Quran more. And this is a great basis for doing it. We're starting with the opening surah, a chapter of the Quran, and we're showing how it is used as a opener for all of the other chapters in this Quran and how they relate. Because if you don't know how things relate, all you're doing is just reading, or as some say, just pronouncing words without understanding. So this is a great time for a commitment, especially from Muslims, to be to study and get better understandings of the Quran. And Al-Fatiha, as we have been saying for the past 3 months, is a great basis to get that. If you can relate Al-Fatiha, as we have given some examples in the past, and we'll give more examples in the future, then I think you are laying a good foundation for that basis of learning and studying the religion of Islam.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for that, and you're right on point. I think when we had started in Surah 13, where we left off.
Let's see. I don't remember. I got Surah Baqarah. I know we went in that, and then we went into another surah. I believe it was 13. Let's see how you mark where we left off.
Yeah. So we could do that, and then we're going to be speaking the engagement of those who are listening. And here, Brother Henry will read a portion. We'll ask him to stop. And for those who've been with us, and we've had some participation from some that have listened, and they were able to take it back to Al-Fatiha in that regard, which is good, because that means that we were really truly listening and we were really learning this in terms of Al-Fatiha being the essence of the whole book. And so what we've been saying to really further illustrate that is that Al-Fatiha is in condensed form, but it has two major themes. And the two major themes are God revealing to us what he wants us to know about him. Okay, so that's one major theme. The second major theme is Allah revealing to us about the human being, who the human being is, or what the human being is in terms of the relationship, the paths that the human beings follow, and of course those who are believers, they want to follow the path Siratul Mustaqim. So the Mustaqim is those that are God conscious. And I know we went to Surah Baqarah, and it actually gave an outline of those who, the Mustaqim, that are God conscious. And then it went on to say that those who are God conscious, they believe in the unseen. They believe, they establish regular prayer. They spend out of that which we have provided for them. They believe in the revelation that was given to thee, and to thee here means to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they believe in the revelation that came before the Quran. And that means that the revelation that preceded, we're talking about the Torah, Old Testament, Injil, New Testament, and anything that was revealed before it by Allah. We believe in that. And then God says that those are the ones that are on the right path. Those are the ones that will receive, would get the hereafter, the akhirah, in terms of the next life. Those are the ones that will prosper. So right here is actually saying these are the ones that will realize their creative purpose in that regard. So that's the path that we want to be on, and it's really detailed there in Baqarah, in those ayats that's there. But that is an answer to Al-Fatiha being a dua, in Hidina Siratul Mustaqim, guide us along the straight path. And that's answered in Baqarah right away. That is the book, and it is guidance sure, without doubt. So this is answering the ayat in Al-Fatiha that makes it a dua. And the dua is something that we're asking from Allah to help us with. Give us that help. Give us that assistance. And so we see that. I know we covered that. So, you have to go back and you can retrieve that in the archives and we get that information. I think the last part we left off was in Surah 13, Brother Henry. So if you want to start anywhere there, and then so we can hopefully get some participation from those who listen in and been kind of following this. This would be good exercise. And, of course, you can do this on your own when you're reading the Quran sometime, and you have learned more about Al-Fatiha from the tafsir of Imam W.D. Muhammad, which is what we've been given. And then sometimes just challenge yourself. Sometimes you're reading Quran, ask you to say, okay, what is it saying? Then what does it mean? You're in Imam Salim Mukmin's class in terms of Mali. So oftentimes he will challenge his students. Okay, so what does it say? So stay right in the context of what's being given. Now, if because as much as when you repeat it back, what God is saying, sometimes we jump out, want to just give, our own expression of what we think or how we feel about that. But you're going to get much more, as a student, as Imam Muhammad says, stay within the context. Stay within the context. What does it say? And then you answer the question, what does it mean in that regard? And oftentimes you have to connect the ayat before it or more before it and then after it. So these are just some things that would be helpful in that regard. And then you want to look at if, in fact, that you learn much more about Al-Fatiha than just the recitation of it. Then try to see if you can take what you just read in what you just read in the Quran, regardless of where you open up the book. You should be able to go back to it and see if you can make a connection with Al-Fatiha. It will really help us in our understanding what you were speaking about. So, alhamdulillah. So wherever you want to start, and hopefully we invite everybody to be a participant. Brother Henry.
Yes, so if you do have a question or comment, do raise your hand and we'll recognize you and bring you into the conversation. But again, Mark, and I know this is a little review of it, I'll say we start at the beginning again.
Your voice is fading in and out. And for those who want to participate, you have to start 9. If you start 9, that means your hand would be raised, because there might be some new people on, Brother Henry. So
yes.
If you start 9, your hand will be raised. And then if you, what is that,
Star 6 will bring you into the conversation, yes.
Right. Your mic, it will open your mic, and then,
yes.
It will acknowledge you. Yes, so star 9 raises your hand. Star 6 opens your mic, and then you can speak. So don't be shy, please. All right, Brother Henry.
Surah 13 is the English is the thunder, Arabic al-Raid, meaning the thunder. And it says, with the name of Allah, most merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. And then it starts off just like it does in Surah 2, Baqarah. It says Alif, Lam, Mim, and then it adds one more letter that is not in Baqarah. It says Ra. Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. And the first ayat reads, these are the signs of the book, that which has been revealed unto thee.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. Brother Henry, your voice is a little low there.
A little low.
Now you're going good now. There you go.
Is that better? Okay, maybe I guess as I read, kind of move away, I'll just move the Quran to the other side here. So.
Yeah. Alice, yeah.
So let me read that again.
Okay.
Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra. The signs of the book, that which has been revealed until thee from thy Lord, is the truth. But most men believe not.
Yeah. So alhamdulillah. So you want to stop there, and and thinking, I like to use this analogy. When we're eating food off our plate and it's good, you don't want to put a whole lot in your mouth at one time. Most certainly, you can't put the whole plate or the whole pot in your mouth at one time. So you put a little bit, and then to start the digestion process, it's called mastication of the food. And Allah has helped that mastication by giving us saliva. Saliva helps in the breakdown of the food. And it's tasty. But if it's good food and we're eating good, healthy food, it's also nutritional. So you want to be able to chew on it. So you don't want to go 3 or 4. You want to just take a little bite at a time. And so it would be good in terms of the taste, of the experience of it, but also you would get the benefit better when you do it just a little bit at a time, just a little bit. They had a song years ago, just a little bit. So the Alif, Lam, Mim, Ra, once again, mystical letters, but this is in the guidance. This is revelation, whatever, and only Allah is speaking in the Quran. So when we read the Quran, Allah is speaking to his human creation. So this goes up under the guidance. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. And we also talked about the composition of the book in terms of their ayats. They were explicit, very, very clear. And then there are ayats that are implicit, they're allegorical, but it's still revelation. So this would be, and it's called the mutashabihah. Mutashabihah means that it's implicit, but it has a message in it. So we would say, in terms of that, being to mutashabihah, in terms of that. But then it's followed by, these are the signs of the book. These are the signs of the book. And so, if you read the rest of these are the signs of the book, then what does Allah say then, right behind that, Brother Henry? Just enough.
It says, that which has been revealed unto thee.
Okay,
from
that
thy
which
Lord.
is revealed to thee by thy Lord. Okay, so thee, then that means who received the Quran was Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Muhammad the prophet, that was revealed to thee. So when you say thee there, it's speaking about the prophet, revealed to thee. So these are signs. So then we have learned from Imam Muhammad that ayats are more than verses. They are signs. They're more than signs. They're instructing signs. So we didn't say to you that when you come to solutions for critical issues now, it sounds like a learning lab, but it would behoove you to have your pen and pad. And you want to make an equation. Ayats equal verses. Verses equal signs, instructing signs. So in the instructing signs, there's a message. So Allah is saying that there's a message that was given to thee, to Muhammad, the prophet. And Allah taught Prophet Muhammad the book. And he taught him the hikmah. The hikmah sometimes is the wisdom, but also it can be seen as the logic of the book. So when we study the Quran, we want to also get the hikmah. And Prophet Muhammad, when he taught it to the Sahabas, those companions, early companions, also gave them the hikmah. He gave them the wisdom of the logic of the book. Okay? But I think it goes on to say, but most men don't understand. Brother Henry, help me out here.
It says that, and I guess this is the expectation here, but most men believe not. So, even when you are even discussing this with certain people, you shouldn't be disappointed that after the discussion that they don't believe, that they don't see it, because only Allah can open up their heart or their mind in order to be able to comprehend. But the job of the Muslim is to at least deliver the message to the best of their ability. So Allah also tells us here from this understanding that it's not our responsibility to make them understand, because they will not understand unless Allah open up their mind and their heart and with the right spirit to comprehend.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. So now we want to take this back to Al-Fatiha. We want to take this back to Al-Fatiha. Okay. So in Al-Fatiha, there are three paths. So this is how we should look at it. There are three paths. And Allah tells us in Al-Fatiha, and then when we read in Al-Baqarah, you understand, it really was speaking about three types of persons. See? So the three paths is those that want to be on the mustaqim. So do we have a say-so? Yes, we do have a say-so. We want to make that plain. When Allah gave us the free will, gave us the freedom to think, the free will, to be able to act, make some decisions, and then He gave us the capacity to absorb the knowledge and to realize it, and utilize it. So the human being does have, some people think that, Allah guides whom He pleases, and then if He doesn't please to guide you, He just leads you astray. He leads you astray. That's not true. No, no, sir. It's not true. No. Allah leaves you, Leaves, astray. But you have the freedom and the free will to listen to what Allah is revealing to us, about himself in that regard. And you have the freedom to believe or disbelieve. I'll say that again. You have the freedom to believe or disbelieve. Allah doesn't compel you to believe. See, with freedom, there's always a duality. You can believe what is being revealed, or you can disbelieve what's being revealed. How do we know? Allah has revealed that in the Quran. We talked about 3 paths. 2 of those paths you don't want to be on. You don't want to be on the path of the Modub. So how did we define the Modub? So you go back to Al-Fatiha again. The Modubas are the ones that received the revelation. They understood it, but they rejected it. That's a disbeliever. And then when we go further into the Quran, Allah tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah, for the disbeliever, this is what Allah does to them. Then if you're a disbeliever, you reject God's sign. Allah says that he seals the heart. You have to make the connection. He seals the heart, he seals the ears, and put blindness over the eyes. Now, you're going to be wondering. You're going to be in wonderland. You refuse God's sign, his message, and that means that you refuse the guidance. In the Mustaqim, those that are God conscious, that wanted the path of God because they realize that the nature of the soul is to want to find who God is, and the purpose of the soul that they want to worship and serve God properly. But they need the guidance. But then you hand those human beings that did that, and as a consequence for that, their heart was sealed. The intention, in other words, the intention that they had was not proper. Because if we have the intention and we stay with the feature of the original nature, then obviously you want what God has for you. You won't reject the guidance. The soul is yearning for guidance. That's what we're talking about here. So the action of the human being is a reflection of the human soul, the nafs. And Allah speaks about that in the Quran. So we have to make these connections, but we want to stay with Al-Fatiha here to see that there are 3 paths. 2 of those paths you don't want to be on. You want to be on the path of the Sirat al-Mustaqim, Sirat al-Ladina, and Amta alayhim. You want to be on the path of those, you understand, that have been favored and blessed by God. And when they receive the guidance in revelation, they accept it, but they also live it. That we have to come to a conclusion in regards to that. Okay, so but Allah is saying here that many are here, but they won't believe. Okay, so keep reading that, Brother Henry, if you would, please. And then we invite those to make comments. Does this make sense to you, what it is that we're actually saying? And we're taking it back to Al-Fatiha. You don't want to leave Al-Fatiha. If you can get a grasp on this and just take a little bite at a time. Some of this is new to many that's listening. Some of you still trying to digest it, understand it. But for some of you, it's making good sense. So I never knew that this much is embodied in Al-Fatiha. And we want to have a class on looking at Al-Fatiha. This was speaking to Brother Henry. We want to have a class on Al-Fatiha and looking at it as being commentary on scripture that came before the Quran. It's in Al-Fatiha too. Okay, Brother Henry, so you might want to...
Yes. Surah 2, verse 2, it says,
No,
Allah,
not 2. We're not on
okay,
2. I think it's 13. Or
uh,
13.
no, I meant Surah 13, Ayat 2,
Okay.
there. Is Allah is he who raised the heavens without any pillars.
Mm-hmm. He raised the heavens without any pillars. So now this is talking about our Rahman. In terms of this is found in the natural creation. This is found in the natural creation. We see what we see is called heavenly bodies or celestial bodies. You understand? Don't have any pillars. So this becomes a wonderment to the human being when he began to look at it, as we call the scientists, and they have been able to even calculate the distance. I remember from the old actual facts that we had to learn in the Nation of Islam, they actually was in Encyclopedia Britannica, the World the World Book Encyclopedia, that we 93 million miles from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And that sun gets so hot, it looks like it's almost within reaching distance, and it's just, and it can cause us to perspire, to sweat, and all of this. But it has so many benefits in terms of the growth and development of this geography that we actually are in here on planet Earth. And this is not the only planet you see in that regard, and how the clouds come together and bring down the rain. And man has studied that, the nitrates and everything that's in it. So all this is considered in terms of part of the creation itself, but this is found in the natural creation. So that's Al Rahman. That mercy is found in the natural creation. So what you just said, if you were reading that, you would take it back to Al Fatiha and say, oh, that's Al Rahman, most merciful benefactor. And that when understanding that, we being the highest form of creation, we being the highest beneficiary of what it is that Allah has done. I hope that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Not only do we benefit from that, but we can study what Allah is saying, and then, we're going to have, as we discussed, Brother Henry, we're going to have a class on how that's relative to us today. How that's relative to us today, because some would be like, oh, well, you're just not whistling in the dark. You're giving this information and stuff, but how can we use it? How can we apply it in our own life? So we want to make this very relative, but we want to get to do the basic and fundamentals in terms of looking at Al-Fatiha, but everything that comes after that in the book, we want to see how it can relate back to one or more of these 7 verses, as it is the essence of the whole Quran. So that's how we have to look at it, you see, in that regard. Okay, so that's very good.
And Mark, what I just came, because we read, as you say, Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah 2,
Yeah.
and as we were reading 13, I see a path, because we say, show us the straight path. And from 13, we can take a path back to Al-Fatiha, because we know Al-Fatiha is the first surah, and it's the opening. It's called the opening. So as we get more into the Quran, we can take a path. So there may be 2 or 3 stops as we go forward to be able to come back to Al-Fatiha. And as you know, we started with the first one in 13, Alif Lam Mim Ra. And we said in Surah 2, there was Alif Lam Mim. Well, as we read this, it says, Allah is he who raised the heavens without any pillars. Because this is a discussion. This is something, as you say, a class. This is a class where it should probe and prick the mind to be able to begin to think. So it says
Mhm.
without any pillars. But
Mhm.
in Surah 2 Al-Baqarah, it says who believe in the unseen. So God has already set it up for us. And then,
Yeah.
as you said, we took that, we related that back to Al-Fatiha.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we got a path back. So
I
as
love
our
it.
knowledge increase, we should be
Yes.
able to, as some of the little nursery rhymes say, to find our way back home.
I said takbir to what you're saying, Brother Henry, and I'm smiling because Allah is blessing you to see these connections and the path, how you take it back to Al Fatiha, what we had already learned in about these verses in Al Fatiha, and we accepting that it is the essence of the whole of the Quran. And then when we read in Surah Baqarah, those ayats there, you understand, as you was taking it back to the unseen. So this is the mustaqim. These are the ones that's God conscious. So Allah opens up your consciousness. See, when you believe that, when you want that. So when you're making a dua, you're asking for something from Allah, and hopefully you're asking for something that is a benefit that will really benefit us, but we need Allah's help, you see, in that regard. So the guidance is the help that we get, that we, in the ayat before that,
Yes.
Yeah, see, so we're asking for God's help, and God is helping us with revelation. That's the guidance that we need as a human being. This the direction, the correction that we need as a human being. You see, in that regard. So that was beautiful what you did in terms of those connections, and you'll find that Al Fatiha opens up our consciousness to be able to see more than just on the surface. We gave, you understand, what Al Fatiha was saying on level 1. This is what Allah is saying. Then level 2, we did what we call a synopsis of what those verses actually were, and then then we brought the soul into it, in which we didn't discuss that today, but the soul is a big part of the whole of the Quran, in terms of studying the nature and the purpose of the soul. So whenever the human beings have done something, you see, even when it comes to the history of the nations, even what's happening today, the soul is expressed through the human body. You see, this is very, very important. This is what Imam Muhammad has given to us. So when we study history, in terms of what has transpired in human history, or the history of the nations, you're actually studying the state of the soul. Yeah, you're studying the state of the soul. So if you're taking notes, you should be like, never heard that before. Never heard that before. So you can see where the soul is. And most certainly, those hideous things that was done by persons that would be classified as dictators and all of this, it says where there's the state of the soul. And we know that there's 3 stages. And so obviously we wouldn't put what may have transpired in terms of deplorable things that people have done in the class of Nessa Mutmaina, where the soul is at peace and is pleased. And it's pleasing to its Lord and Creator. See? So in Al Fatiha, we outline that the nature and the purpose of the soul. The nature is to want to find who God is. I mean, that's in the purity of the soul. And then the purpose is to serve. See, so, alhamdulillah, do we have anybody that...
We don't have any hands raised today. I'm sure we laying the foundation so questions can be asked, inshallah. We got about look like 2.5 minutes left in the program. And when you mention the soul, as you begin to comprehend and understand what is being given here, your soul will either confirm it or reject it. You've probably been in conversation with people. You say, "Well, I hear what he said. It sounds good, but it just don't feel right." The soul is telling you something in there that even though you can't figure out what the scheme is, that's is warning you that it just don't feel right. Well, in the Quran, the more we get into it, the more that feeling, as you said, mukmaina, your soul become more at peace. So you understanding and accepting what is good for that soul.
That's right. That's beautiful. Yeah, because in that state of Nefsin Lawama, there is still a wrestling,
Yes.
a wrestling there. You see,
Mhm.
and so we will talk more about that. But that kind of goes with the theme in terms of Al Quran being the final revelation that brings about a cultivation and stimulation to and for a higher elevation of the human soul. You see, so Al Quran, you understand, it becomes the cultivation and stimulation to and for a higher elevation of the human soul. So we want the human soul, you understand, that first is personified in Adam on the first level. You see, Nefsim Wahida. So Adam represents many things. And one of the things that Imam Muhammad said represents is Nefsim Wahida. It represents that one human soul that all human beings are born with. They have that one human soul or one essence, and that's bar the different divisiveness that actually man have brought about to divide us in that regard. So the elevation that goes from Adam to Prophet Ibrahim. So we'll talk more about that. I know we start on time, but
yes,
always...
that was it. And as you say, Adam, we're going to turn it over to our brother Adam Beyah,
Amen, Adam.
here there to do it. So we hadn't left you yet. We're going to continue with Adam.
Yeah, we begin with Adam, and then we're going to end here. Turn it over to Imam Adam. Assalamu alaikum, brother Imam Adam.
Walaikum assalam. How's everyone doing? Brother Mark, Brother Henry.
Alhamdulillah. We still doing. We're not done yet, Imam Adam. And if I see it on a T-shirt or a cap, I just need 40%. That's all.
I got you, bro. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. I'm gonna sign off, mute out. It's your time. May Allah bless you with a good production. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, everyone. Alhamdulillah. Thank Allah for all of the people that are participating and staying on and for our program. I know you enjoyed the previous hour. We hope to make this hour just as enjoyable. Keep up with the standards that our two brothers have left us with, inshallah. All right, I want to begin the program. I'm going to read from the Quran, if I could. And this is, let me get there. Surah to Zamar, and that is the 39th Surah of the Quran, the 9th ayah, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Aman huwa kanitun ana alayli sajidan wa imay yakdharul akira wa imay yakdharul akirata wa yaju rakmata rabbi kul hal yastawi alladhina ya'lamun يعلمون والذين لا يعلمون إنما يتذكر أولو الألباب. صدق الله العظيم. In the translation that's given by Abdullah Yusuf Ali, with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, is one who worships devoutly during the hours of the night, prostrating himself or standing in adoration, who takes heed of the hereafter, and who places his hope in the mercy of his Lord, like one who does not. Say, are those equal? Those who know and those who do not know. It is those who are endued with understanding that receive admonition. Sadaqallahu Azim. Allah speaks the truth, and surely Allah's words are true. I wanted to, inshallah, just begin the first part of the presentation talking about something that's been on my mind greatly the last few days, and that's income taxes. No matter how I try to prepare and try to get distracted with, there's some topics that I'm sure that we probably can bring in happenings today, but mine is, it's the new year, January. What's this, the 8th weekend to the new year, and my clients won't let me forget. I mean, they're coming in already, and I can't even submit the return. But anyway, but there's some things I'm sure that might affect you, and I'm sure most of you are paying taxes or filing tax returns, even those that are, you say, well, say I'm retired. Well, that's true. That's true too, but there's nothing wrong with making money during retirement. With the change that IRS has right now, with the new technologies, with the new reporting requirements, more than likely, let me say this, if you're earning part-time income, if you have income from your side gig, for a long time, you can make that income, and you'll probably say, well, IRS doesn't know about it, so I want to worry about reporting it. But the IRS, in general rule, says that all income is taxable. That's the general rule. All income is taxable. And then they have some exceptions to that, and they list the exceptions, except this and except that or whatever. All right. But if you got a booth on the side of the road, that is not an exception to that rule. If you sell baked goods on the side, that is not an exception to that rule at all. But because IRS had no way of finding out that you're making that extra money, absent somebody reporting it to IRS, or IRS audits you on some other issues, and while they're auditing you, they notice a bank account with money going in. Absent those things are very unlikely, have been unlikely. But we know we live in a new day today. Cash App. How many of you have Cash App accounts? Right? And the old saying is, well, send it to me through Cash App. Before a couple of years ago, that money was never, cash had been sending reports to IRS saying, hey, this person received X amount of dollars in cash through Cash App. But with today's technology and the scarcity of, I mean, people don't have necessarily money in their pocket. But in the new age, they can say, well, I can Zelle it to you, I can Cash App it to you, right? And some of those methods. And for us, it's out of sight, out of mind. Well, now with the change in technology, IRS is requiring Cash App, Zelle, other methods, electronic methods. They're requiring them to report that to the IRS, right? All right, so I'm going to show you something right quick. Show your screen. All right. So now, the first thing I'm going to show you is this form called 1099-NEC. If I pay certain vendors, certain individuals, if I pay them, let's say I pay them $1,000 for doing goods or services that they provided my company. IRS tells me in order for you to protect that deduction, because you know naturally if I pay them, I want to deduct on my return. In order for you to protect that deduction, you have to issue them a 1099 NEC. NEC stands for non-employee compensation. I don't know if you've seen this form. You've probably seen 1099s, but they probably got about 20 1099 types of 1099s out there for the various things. So this 1099 here, I'm trying to protect my deductions. So I'm following the requirement. And this goes to IRS. You see it has the name of the person that I paid, the payer's TIN, and that TIN stands for tax identification number. It could be a social security number. It could be somebody say something, trying to help me out. It could be a social security number. It could be a employer identification number, right? So that goes in the IRS. Here's mine. This is my employer identification number or TIN, and this is the one for the recipient. Well, suppose the recipient don't want to give you their taxpayer identification number. And we do have some that don't want to do it. Well, I have to answer a question. If I'm in a 15% tax bracket for federal and a 5% tax bracket for state, that's on $1,000, that represents $200. So is the service or the goods I'm getting from you worth a $200 additional charge? Because I'm gonna lose that in taxes by not following that rule. So I had to ask my question, is it worth $200? If it's not, that's okay, or I get somebody else. All right. Then the next box is the non-employee compensation. This is the money that you're paying the person for goods or services, right? All right. So here I may sell to, if you make a sale to somebody and I'm buying from them for resale, I check that there. There's other stuff you might not see. Federal income tax. You can take tax out of the payment you paid to an individual. Most individuals say no. So these are the forms, one of the forms the IRS says you got to provide. This next form we have is a W-2. You've seen that before. When you're an employee, the system is already built in. I've never had an employee say, well, I don't want to give you this information, because they know they won't get hired, right? So you've seen the W-2 before. And lastly, or not, and this, I said lastly for this presentation, here's a 1099-K. For those of you that have, let's say you use a service that you take credit cards from your customers. Give you an idea. Where the company that takes the credit card and processes it and deposits the money in your account, they will more likely give you a 1099-K at the end of the year. And on this form, all right, this could be PayPal, it could be anything. On this form, you got the same information, filer's tax identification number, payee's tax identification number, gross amount of payment that you paid to that person. And then it asks you to break it down by month, how much they get each month. Again, this information goes in the IRS. Again, because the people that take the money on your behalf, they don't want to pay tax on their money, so they issued it. Hey, I fulfilled transactions for this person, and this is the money I collected for that person, and this is what I paid out. So they're reporting this to IRS that this is money you made, right? So keep in mind, in the beginning, for a long time, eBay, Amazon Marketplace, those kind of companies, they didn't report that to IRS. So a lot of people that use those services, more than likely they didn't necessarily pay taxes on it. But now it's getting reported. And what IRS is doing now, all the mechanisms, they know what's going on in the market, but they had to tool up, they had to get ready, because now they're ready to enforce it. So if you have a side business, and because everything is moving towards this cashless society, if you have that, then more than likely they're going to start reporting under your Social Security number or tax ID number that they had these transactions and this is how much money you made. IRS is going to compare it with your particular account and your tax return. And if you file a tax return and you don't report it on your tax return, it's an increasing likelihood that they're going to write you back and say, hey, here's additional income we have that you earned during 2025. And then you didn't report it on your tax return. So what should be your motivation? Well, what IRS would do, if you don't respond in a timely manner, they're saying, okay, well, we're going to amend or adjust your tax return. Here's $10,000 that you earned, and you didn't put it on your tax return, so we're going to calculate it on your tax return. And we're not going to, they don't know about your deductions. They don't know about how much money and products you bought to generate that money. They're going to tax the whole 10 grand. I have a lot of clients that get letters saying, hey, you owe us $6,000 in tax. And that gets their attention, right? It's not the end of the road, but it does get your attention. And then now you're scrambling. I need to not only recognize the income, I have some expenses that I would have done had I done the right thing, that I can deduct to bring that down from the $6,000. So it's a new day today. So if you have these issues, it's best that you do it before they do it. Because we're in a time right now, it's harder to do business with IRS. You call them up, then they'll tell you, well, we're going to put you on hold. And we estimate the holding time might be 45 minutes. And you stay online for 45 minutes. Then the next thing you hear, goodbye. But no one ever came on. You know, with me, if I'm calling IRS on behalf of a client, I can call the number and I can stay on the hour. It's not bothering me because I'm at my desk on the computer. But I can count the times they never answer the phone. All right. So that's something just to make you aware of, that they're coming for that. They call it underground economy. They're coming for it. And they're trying to tax it. Now, the reason why are they doing it now? Well, because they can't. They're doing it now because they've discovered a way to make it so that they can come at what's being paid to you, right? They can do that, so they're doing it. And the problem now, really, those third-party type companies, they've been reporting that income for a little while. It's just that IRS hasn't acted on it, but hey, they're going to act on it now. We got a comment over here. Let's go to the phone lines. I think it's Brother Henry. Is that you, sir?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Yeah, Adam, I just have to bear witness to what you're saying, and it's really getting worse than that there because here in the state of Alabama, and dealing with these clients, people that have been filing taxes a while, if some income was left off, and they may not see it as important at the time. Maybe it could be a little unemployment of a client. I'm going to be checking on her return today. But the IRS wrote her and said that here's three little other level areas of income that was reported to us that you didn't report on your return.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when I looked at her return, I said, yes, you did not report them. You didn't report your $1,000 whatever unemployment in there. So they are doing it, and they're getting better at it too. This new AI stuff, whatever it's doing, it's making them. But they are going back. I got a client I was working with for 2012. Of course, they don't have no paperwork or anything for what they did. but the state come back and say, well, we got some income that you did not report on your 2012, and we want our tax money plus interest plus penalties and plus all of that. Because when they do it, they look at you as a criminal. No such thing as making a mistake from that. So that is, and it's really causing havoc, especially for poor people who can't prove it. And if you can't prove it, then of course you owe it. And the other thing on those 1099s that you're saying, if a business is audited, and those things, what you were saying, if it's over the $600 or $1,000 that you paid someone that you did not give them a 1099, they will come and add that $1,000 back to your income, and you have to now pay tax on it from your company.
Right.
So all of this, whether it's fair or just or whatever, this is what they're doing.
That's what it is. I mean, you can say it ain't.
So
I get it all. I get it all. It
Yeah.
ain't fair. It ain't right. It ain't whatever. I listen to them.
Yeah.
Whatever.
But
I don't tell them that back
I'm experiencing the same thing with our clients here in there. And sometimes it just don't make no sense what they do, but they'll take a little bill like $1,000, and boy, when they finish with it, you owe them $2,000 on a $1,000 bill. Income. I said, boy, these people are terrible, but that's what we living in.
Yeah, that is Reba.
Yeah, that's yeah.
That is
yes. I will feel it.
Yes, sir.
But I bear witness. What you're saying is true. And if you're in a business or you got income of any type, like you say, the little curbside income that you used to get away with, you best beware that they at you, and they will come years later. Years later. I said 2012. And of course, the person don't even know where they was working in 2012. But they are coming back.
Well, I say
that is happening right now.
I tell them, the state of North Carolina is no different from me and you. If you get hard up for cash, first thing you think, who owe me some money?
Right. That's the same thing I said. I said they're hard up for some cash, and they're trying to collect. And the easiest person to collect off of is what I call poor people.
The low hanging fruit, brother. They don't deal with the big.
That low hanging fruit. You're right.
But low hanging fruit. All right, thank you, Brother Henry. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Assalamu
alaikum. Brother Ishmael, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
I really believe Brother Henry answered my question. But my question was going to be, normally I have the people reach out to me like, hey, I need my 1099 because, we did work for y'all, so-and-so. So I get a 1099 made out for them and sent out to them. My question is going to be, is it up to me to see who we owe 1099s to, or I normally just let them reach out to me, or should I be seeing who I need to send them out to? That was going to be my question.
No, the rule is this. If you pay individuals or even LLCs, if that's an LLC, $600 or more during the year, you are supposed to give them a 1099. As a matter of fact, if you think that the goods and services you're going to get from them is going to exceed $600, you should give them a W-9 when you engage them. And the W-9, the information they put on the W-9 will determine whether they should get a 1099 at the end of the year. So let's say it's back in February of 2025, and they did $1,100 worth of work for you. And this was an independent contractor. He might have been a repairman or whatever. And you get the W-9 from them. Now you have their address, name, address, and social security number or EIN number, so that in January of 2026, you can send them a 1099. That way you don't have to track them down and see where they are or whatever. You have the information. So that's your responsibility. I've never, that's a real honest person that has to ask you for a 1099, because you're the one that's trying to protect that deduction on your tax return. That's your responsibility.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, but like I say, with the new technology and whatever, most of these companies, they already have that built in, and they're going to submit that money. One thing I'm going to go back to, hope I still got it open. Let me go back to sharing the screen. Yeah. No, I'm sharing the wrong one. All right. This 1099K. So let's say the company that you're using is, let's say it's a credit card fulfillment company, and you have a credit card machine, and let's say you have a restaurant or something like that, and a person comes through on the credit card machine, and the bill came to $26. In that $26 is sales tax. There might be a tip, whatever. Well, if square number one has sales tax in it, sales tax is not taxable to you. You collect sales tax on behalf of the state, but it's not part of your taxable income. So this has to be adjusted out. If you have tips in there, and the tips you're paying out is for your wait staff, and you put in the wait staff payroll check, you put tips collected in there, that's not taxable to you because that goes to them. So whoever your accountant is, you have to give them the information so he can make that adjustment. Otherwise, you'll be overstating your income. But there are ways when you, on the return level, you can adjust that out. Just to give you that information. And when I tell a lot of people I meet, if your preparer is confused and doesn't know what to do, say when you go in their office, just kindly take all your paperwork and run. All right. So anyway, that's just something to give you an idea. But with the new technology, they're coming after that money, because it's easier to get it from you than it is to get it from wealthy people. And we have a man sitting in the White House that's an expert at not paying taxes, right? But it's easier for them to come after you. And since they're giving tax breaks to wealthy people, they got to get the money from somewhere. All right. One more thing, let me talk about as you prepare for the upcoming tax season. IRS is moving to phase out refund checks, paper refunds. They're hoping to phase it out within another year. And they're forcing people to go to the electronic refunds. All right. Just let you know. And probably another year or something, they're going to say, we're not going to send out any more checks. You can get your refund electronically. You know, I have some people that are from the old school, and they don't want to give IRS their personal information. They don't want to give them their checking account and their routing number because they want to, that's what they call it. That's the big brother out there trying to get all in my business. Right? I was trying to do electronic filing. And one of my clients says, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want my name all out on the internet. So I sit there and I type his name on Google. And when I typed his name on Google, guess what he found out? He's already out there on the internet. So I finally convinced him, convinced him to use electronic filing. I said, you're worrying about something that has already happened. So if you know of anybody that's old school and they don't want to be all on the internet, tell them it's too late. It's too late. I saw this video on YouTube last night about the new scams. And they call it, what do they call it? Brown bagging. You know, my grandmother, God bless her, Allah bless her, rest her soul. And she was, I remember when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And I remember my grandmother's name was in the newspaper because my aunt was showing it to me. And she got scammed. I forgot how much money it was, but I mean, when I was 10, heck, $100 was a lot of money to me. But she got scammed. They call it the brown bagging. Yeah, some of y'all might have heard about that. Some brown bagging. She was walking downtown, and these two guys were having a debate, and they said, "We found this bag over here that had let's say $800 in it, right? And we're gonna try to find out who lost it, but in the meantime, we need somebody to help hold the money." And they got her to agree to that. Now, in order to do that, you got to put some money in the bag to show you have part of it. I don't know whatever. End up, they beat out of some money. Well, they got something now called brown bagging on the internet, but it's not that crude method. But there's people calling you up, claiming they're your bank. And they quote some transactions you had. And I see Sister Amir, I'll get to you in a minute, 1 second. They quoted some transactions you had in your bank account. You recognize the transaction and say, yeah, that's one. And to convince you that it's the bank. And they go through some rule scheme. So they say, well, how did they know about your transactions? Well, they went on the dark web, and on the dark web and typed your name, and then they got access to some of the banking information and transactions. I said, good God. So be careful. Your bank won't call you like that, just in case. All right, Sister Amir, you had a comment or question? I guess I didn't get to it fast enough. Okay, well, if you
Can I make a quick comment on that, brother?
You can, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I read about that. They say ask them what branch they're calling from, so they should have a local number to or whatever branch they calling from. Then also ask them which account those transactions came out of. So those are stumbling blocks a lot of times for them scammers because they don't have that information.
Right, right.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, yes, ma'am.
I was trying to unmute. That what you was talking about early on with your grandmother. They used to call it the pigeon drop. Well, they would
Okay.
scam. Yeah,
Yeah.
they would. That and it used to happen a lot at that given time. And also, you have to be careful when you're using your debit card online because just recently someone had compromised my card for 3 purchases, and I had my card on my person, but they had. I guess I had used it online, and they was able to retrieve my number and make some purchases. But then at that point, you have to be issued a new debit card. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Well, they working 24/7.
Mhm.
They're working 24/7. And say, well, why are they working so hard? Well, look, they don't need but one. If someone told me, well, Adam, we got 100 names to call today. And if you get one, we give you, to give up some money, we'll give you $500. What's somebody, how they gonna earn that kind of money making phone calls all day and only need to get one? I had a client, he was a medical doctor, and he called me up and said, I think I got scammed. I said, why do you think that? He said somebody called him and told him he owed IRS some money, which he did. And they told him they would help him pay the bill if they would do certain things. And they told him to go to Walmart and buy 20, I think it was $300 green cards, something like that. And he did it.
Gift cards.
Now we call green cards back then, I think. Not gift cards, but green cards. They call them green cards back then.
Green dot, yes, the green dot.
Green dot, yeah. And he did it. And then they told him to call him back with the numbers. And he did that. Then he had the delayed idea to call me. I said, Doc, why are you calling me now? Have you done that? He said, yeah. I said, Doc, that money gone. You followed your instincts in the wrong order. You should have called me first. That money is gone. All because they knew he had a bill with the IRS. I think they owed IRS $20,000, something like that. So they hired couple of guys. They had a couple of guys in that scam just to all day call people. All day call people until they found somebody to bite. And they got over $8,000 based on that deal. What else you gonna do that day to earn that kind of money? So they do that. So I'm saying that to be careful. If anything seems unusual, it don't happen normally. Just call the branch where you bank at in order to do that. So anyway, hopefully you got something from this, and keep in mind, don't feel bad. You can always ask us here on Money Sense, and we'll try to give you the best information that you need in order to make your life better. And I'm gonna give a shout out to I see 2 of my compadres that's working with Graceline. Well, 3 on the lines working with Graceline Community Incorporated, and we're working on some upcoming seminars. And I wanted to see if I can squeeze my brother Omar to come on and say something about that, if that's permissible. Omar, you with me? And I'm putting Omar on the spot.
So, Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir, I am.
Walaikum assalam, brother. Just want to give a brief comment on upcoming seminars we're trying to put forth for the benefit of everybody.
Yes, sir. Again, assalamu alaikum. Graceline has worked on, for the past, I would say, 2 years, a series of financial educational initiatives. And one was the development of a workbook, which we have published and is a required text for the upcoming webinar series. This is a 5-week a series that aligns with the chapters in the book, in the workbook. The cost for the webinar is $75, and we set that cost point low. I was criticized when I shared that it was $75. Someone told me I was out of my mind to charge that amount for what we were delivering. They felt that we could charge $250, $300, and I told them, the folks we work with, we don't need to make that kind of money. As long as we can, pay for the expenses of doing what it is we're doing, we're not trying to really make a killing here. So $75 is the cost for the 5-week webinar, and it includes the workbook. We are going to launch the webinar series after the Eid. After Ramadan has completed and the Eid, we're going to launch the 5-week series, and we'll be doing them in subsequent 5-week periods. So inshallah, this week I will have the marketing material for everyone to be able to share, register, etc. With the workshops. I'm pretty sure if many of you are doing this kind of work, some of the technical hurdles that you must overcome to make sure that it is a seamless registration process, seamless payment system, etc. So we are working through those types of technical aspects of delivering the type of program that we know is required for this level of educational initiative. So Adam, I'm gonna stop there, and then if there's some additional questions that I need to answer, I make myself available.
Thank you very much, brother. Alhamdulillah. So anybody with any questions, please ask. And I know I had one. Omar, can you give them an idea of any topics in the seminars? Say five seminars.
It's a 5-week seminars, and we're doing it over. It's broken down by the chapters of the book. So we'll be covering defining what financial independence or financial freedom means to individuals. So that is a pre-work assignment. When you go into the webinar, we want to have a baseline. And a lot of that is kind of work that individuals have to do to get prepared for the week's lessons. So we'll be covering kind of the basics of what is financial freedom or financial independence, and then we will be going over processes to shift mindsets around money. So understanding how money works and how your money works from an individual and family perspective. So there's worksheets and exercises that walk you through being able to identify those areas where you need to allocate a certain percentage. Like, for example, we're using the 50-30-20 financial budgeting model. And in that model, it helps you to identify and allocate 50% of your household income. Now, this is after taxes that comes in, that is allocated to your essentials, your household essentials. So that could be that could be your mortgage, your rent, food, transportation, insurance, whatever you define as essential. 50% is allocated to that. Then there's 30% allocation, which we kind of coin as fund money. But that's basically taking care of all of the other expenses that are luxury items in your life. It could be getting your hair done, or going on a vacation, or spending on clothes, etc. And then the 20% is the investment in you, investment in your family. So there's retirement, other types of investment vehicles that we will be discussing. So those are the kind of topics that we'll be covering. And then there is a systematic process that we're stepping people through using various exercises to be able to identify where money is that they can allocate to these categories. I am working on updating the spreadsheet calculator that it was one of the first tools that we developed at the beginning of this discussion. I am updating that to add a little bit more functionality to it. And that would be something that we roll out maybe later on this year, Adam, if I can get all the functionality within the spreadsheet like I want. Have a dashboard, have a tracking mechanism, functionality to it. And then people, what I am envisioning, people subscribe to this. This is a complementary tool that people can use to track their progression, etc. We also would be offering like one-on-one advisory capacity to individuals that may need that additional assistance to kind of help them walk through, because we know that this is a journey. This is not just going to be a 5-week sets of exercises, but we hope that we can walk alongside you as you become more financial independent and empowered from a financial position.
Okay, thank you, brother. And we have Brother Ishmael. I don't know if he has a question, but Ishmael, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to this. My question is, this 5-week webinar, is it once a week? Is it a live webinar, a recorded webinar? That's my question.
It will be a live webinar once a week. It'll be Tuesdays from 7 to 8:30. And it'll be once a week for 5 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay. Omar, thank you, brother, very much, Brother Omar. And of course, in the interim, we'll on this program, we can talk. Yes, and I'm not teaching things so much so in terms of step by step. What Brother Omar's talking about is a more step by step to make it a culture, to make it part of you. I'm just hitting on certain parts to raise your awareness of things. There's a lot of things that you do every day that impacts either getting you closer to financial freedom or whatever, or moving you further away. For most of us, it's been moving us further away from it. Because we live in a capitalistic society. I like to say, if you don't understand the rules of capitalism, you're going to get capitalized on every time. And we, for the most part, have been capitalized on. Telling you. So we hope that we can make it real, make it alive, and bring it to a spirit that is part of your breathing or walking, and things that we do every day because it's part of what we were created to do as individuals. And this society we're in is designed to move us away from that natural creation and to bring us unnatural things. Sister Mary, you have a comment?
Assalamu alaikum. Earlier on, you were speaking in reference to the changes that's going to occur with the RIS. And then you mentioned also how they've gone back years back to retrieve taxes from maybe us
Yeah.
who didn't know. What can we do at this point? Some of us, because I know if you kind of gave some of us a cardiac arrest. No, what can we do at this point to go back and try to recoup some information that we may need to share with RS? No, we're not trying to be undermining things, just some things we didn't know that was going to be occurring. So how do we clean this mess up?
That was just for information if needed. There's an old saying that when I was in high school, her name was Miss Smoot, and she would say, "Let sleeping dogs lie." If you ain't heard from them, don't worry about it. You understand?
Mhm.
Now, if you've heard from them, now you can try to address it. But if you haven't heard from them, I wouldn't lose a bit of sleep on going back and dragging up information, even if you think you weren't didn't have full disclosure or whatever. If they haven't written you, don't worry about it. That makes sense, Sister Mira?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, go on down the road.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you. Mhm.
Thank you, man. All right, we got about 5 minutes left in the program. We got Imam Yusuf, I'm sure, coming up here. I know everybody has seen the latest news about the happenings in Minnesota. Some might have seen the video, and I've developed the conclusion that that lady was just executed, and that was it. That guy was not in danger. Even if the car was edging forward, he could have just stepped out the way. But when you're dealing with ICE and they're not trained. They didn't go through a lot of training that the regular law enforcement went through. But then I thought also, and I guess I can reserve this after some of the fury, because there's a lot of people out there protesting. But this time was different from what the normal stuff we see, because that was a Caucasian female. And we've seen a lot of brown and black African Americans and Hispanics and whatever being killed, but that got their attention. That got their attention, and this has been a interesting week, from attacking Venezuela. No matter how bad they said that Maduro was or is or whatever, and I said, well, why? People talking about, well, he's doing it for oil. Well, yeah, that's true, he's doing it for oil. But keep in mind, what was the date this week? What was the date 2 days ago? So all this stuff is detracting from January 6th and detracting from the Epstein files. Haven't been talking about that as much, because they were getting a lot of negative stuff from that. He was losing popularity from that. So I don't know if Imam Yusuf is going to talk about that and whatever. I just wanted to put that out there. It was on my mind, and I said it's probably the best time to talk about it right now. But I didn't want to devote a whole program to it. But I know it's going to be on the air for a little while. They're going to talk about it for a minute, right? And now it's important for many because they're being treated just like we've been treated for years. And that's the difference. You're just another Negro. That's why I told my immigrant brother when he was complaining about how he was being treated. I told him, welcome to the family, brother. Welcome to the family. So, brother, man, Yusuf, you can come on board, brother. Assalamu alaikum, man.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Allah is most merciful.
Alhamdulillah.
I can truly say that. Otherwise, I'd be lying.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what you know is like the Godfather. He said, every time I try to get out, they pull me right back in. So, I hadn't meant to talk about that, because
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Excuse me.
hadn't meant to talk about that. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying, uh, our program deals with current events and trending topics, but sometimes, you know, the nature of the things that we're talking about is a little too much for the people. So I was trying to give them a little break, and they said, "Oh, brother Imam, you're a conspiracy theorist, and you do, they hurt." So I was trying to give my listeners a little break today, but they come right back and shoot an unarmed white woman. You know what I mean? And, and I'm looking at the other white woman on the TV this morning. This is not America. The hell is not. I don't know who told her that. Not for you, it's not. But they said it was only a few blocks away from George Floyd. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
It's only a few blocks away. And we heard people telling us they're telling you right now that the officer killed her in self defense. And they told us, and we looking at the video, and then we looked at the video of him kneeling on the man's neck for 9 minutes, and they told us he died from fentanyl. Remember? If he wasn't kneeling on his neck, he'd still be using fentanyl, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, and I don't mean to make light of it. It's a tragic, very tragic incident. Uh, she had a 6-year-old child,
Mm.
and the father just died a couple of years ago. So the child is an orphan now.
Wow.
And to have a young mother, 37 years old, gunned down so brutally like that. Uh, it's been happening to our people, but I'm not pleased to see that happen to any people, to any human being. That's a horrible thing to
Well,
happen.
that's how humanity, brother.
Yes,
That's how humanity.
that's humanity. I don't want to see that happen to any human being.
Right.
You know, uh, unfortunately, well, I'll let you go ahead and sign off, and I'll come on whenever you.
Okay. I
Uh,
thought I'd signed off. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for Monday Sense, and we'll be back inshallah next Thursday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Appreciate it. And if you have any comments or questions you want to get to me, you can. And with that, I'll sign out. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we'd like to uh, welcome everyone to New Day File Islam in America, uh, American Muslim 360 edition. Assalamu alaikum. Uh, that is peace be unto you, with God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. This is the program that deals with current events and trending topics and issues of concern from the Muslim perspective. And as we always say, the Muslim perspective is and always should be the human perspective, you know? And that's just a human. We don't want to lose our humanity. Allah says, don't let the hatred of a people make you swerve from justice. And that takes some work sometimes. uh, maybe a human reaction would be, "Oh, good for you. It's been happening to us." No, no, we don't want to swerve from justice. You know, we don't wish that upon anybody. We didn't like it when it's being done to our people, and we don't like any people seeing being treated inhumanely like that. You know, that's the Muslim. You know, we have to stand up for justice. You know, and uh, uh, somebody said I was looking at something online, and it says, you know, one of the officer, a police officer, a law enforcement professional, he was saying that uh, ordinarily when there's what they call an officer involved shooting, an officer involved shooting, that the officer's weapon is taken from him, and they come in and they investigate, and they take a statement from him, um, you know, as to what happened and things of that nature. And this guy jumped in the car and took off and left. You know, like somebody, like a criminal would do in the street that shot somebody. You know, got away to get away. And they say that's not the way things are done. You know, things are not supposed to be done that way. You know, and uh, it was just very, very unfortunate. Of course, the president and even Christy Nome is coming out, the head of Homeland Security, and exonerating him and saying it was self-defense, and they haven't even done any investigation. So they're saying that uh, even the Department of Homeland Security guidelines say that they are not allowed to shoot at a fleeing vehicle. They're not allowed to shoot at a fleeing vehicle. Hmm? That's what he did. They had the license plate number. They could have got her later. There was no immediate danger. You shouldn't have been standing in front of the vehicle in the first place. Why would you be standing in front of the vehicle? And that's a possibility that you get run over. And so I really, I'm gonna, I got taken away from what I was really going to start the program off with, but you know, this is a very heartbreaking and emergency type of situation of something that we need to talk about, you know. Uh, but I really want to play something from the Imam. Uh, uh, I really want to see something from the talk about something from the Imam, you know, uh, and then we will extrapolate. We will extrapolate from there, you know. Even though our program deals with current events and everything, you know, I try to take a little break from the news, everything that's going on in the news and stuff. You know, that was my plan. That was my plan anyway. You know, my plan was to deal with something else. You know, because I was on with brother William Kareem and our brother Muhammad Sharif. They invited me to come on yesterday, and we were talking about family issues, and that's something that I wanted to uh, continue. You know, because that's important too. You know, but I want to play a little something from the boss, as we call him. You know, Imam Barthuddin Muhammad Rahimullah Alayh. I want to play a little something from him, and then we could go from there. Okay? Let's see. I had it. I want to talk to you about the need to continue building the mind of African American people. Um, that's our calling here in America. It's not just to be Muslim. Our calling is to build up the mind of African American people or black people. Now, the best way to do that is to call our people to Islam, and they accept Islam, the Quran. They accept the way of our prophet, the life example of our prophet, and follow in the best tradition of his companions, the early followers, and those who followed after them in that best tradition. That's the best way to get our people to come to something that will build up their minds
and finish building the mind of African American people until we are satisfied, comfortable with our soul. Our souls are not comfortable because our minds are not comfortable. If you make the mind comfortable, the soul will be comfortable. Now, that is the best way. But let me tell you something that I know to be a fact. Islam is not a religion that leaves out anything important to people. Islam is not a religion that says, read this and don't apply it. Read this and apply it. Now, if I read the Quran in Ghana and I want to apply it, how am I to apply it? I'm to look at the situation, the circumstances in Ghana, the people, the life of the people, the environment there in Ghana. And then I am supposed to apply the Quran. So how the Quran will come out in Ghana is not necessarily the way the Quran will come out in England. That is not to say that we should have two different readings of Quran. No, we have the same reading of the Quran, but the emphasis will be different. Those people in one part of the world, other than the United States, somewhere else, they may not have the problem of identity that we have. So when they read the Quran, their emphasis won't be on building up the identity of a group. For us, when we read the Quran, we should have in our mind applying the Quran to our needs, our condition to our needs. We are not victims so much of a race of people as we are victims of conditions.
Yeah, so that's a quick clip of a talk that Imam Waziruddin Muhammad Rahimullah Alayh gave that I think is very apropos to our situation that we find ourselves in, and some of the problems that or challenges, that Brother William Kareem and Brother Muhammad Sharif asked me to speak on their program yesterday, and that word apropos just means relevant or pertinent or suitable, I remember that word because when I was coming up, my father used to drill me and grill me on certain vocabulary. And it was helpful. I didn't like it at the time, but he would have me read something and I would come across a word and he would say, do you know what that word means? And I say, yes. He said, what does it mean? I said, well, it means like. He said, so like, it means that you don't know what it means. I didn't ask you what it's like. I asked you what the meaning of the word is. Now go get the dictionary. Oh, I don't want to go get the dictionary. But that helped me. It helped me tremendously to learn vocabulary and also spelling. You know how you get the spell words right is by seeing them in print, spelled correctly. So that's one of the words that my father gave me apropos. And he made me look it up. He made me look that word up, and like I say, sometime that I remember. So it didn't really bother me because one time I asked the Imam a question. The Imam gave a talk, and he was talking about Isa ibn Maryam. I'm trying to remember the word that he used now. And I knew the meaning of the word, but I was trying to understand it in the context, and it'll come to me in a minute, in which the Imam was using it. And I asked the Imam, I said, well, how did you how did you mean? He said, do you know what that word means? I said, yes. He said, well, what does it mean? And, I wasn't going to sit there and argue with my leader now. I'm not that crazy, you know. And I said, well, brother man, I was trying to understand how you used it. And he said, look it up. so I was, like I said, I was used to that, you know what I mean? And, but I was trying to understand in the context that he was applying it, the word will come to me, inshallah. Uh, but, but the Imam is bringing to our attention, you know, uh, the time and space context that we live in, that the Quran speaks to. And brother Muhammad Sharif was mentioning, uh, how do we keep our children from falling in the river or falling into the prison, And I was sharing some things. A former student of mine who at the Cloud Muhammad School, and brother Kareem's as well. And I don't know if he's on today, but but she has children of her own now, and also I was speaking about my own grand nephew, which is my cousin's grandson. He's like a grandson to me, and he's locked up. I was working with him, and they had him in a juvenile setting, but he turned 18. You know, so they're not dealing with him like a juvenile no more. You 18 years old. And I was looking at online, some people were saying 18 that's a child, but they were saying it in the context of marriage. A man dealing with a woman, and a girl, she's 18 years old. She's not grown. She's a child. That's a child. And I was looking at a picture. It's funny. Um, my 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 a friend of mine sent me a picture. My grandmother, my mother's side, my maternal grandmother is from Harlem. Well, both of my grandparents are from Harlem, but my grandmother on my mother's side is from 111th Street. So the brother, I don't know if he's listening. The brother, he sent me a picture of my mother as a teenager, holding him on her lap. She was his babysitter. Now he's a Muslim now. This picture is from the 1950s. I just shared the picture with my cousins and my sister and my niece and my two children. It's a picture of my mother and her sister, and they were, I think it was Central Park they were in or whatever. They took a picture, and the little boy that she's holding on her lap is a Muslim from our community. And I used to hear my mother talking about, but I didn't know who it was. And when I was talking, he said, well, I'm from 111th Street, to show you they talk about 6 degrees of separation. And sure enough, my mother used to babysit him. And I wound up going to his mother's funeral. His mother passed away a few years ago. But it's a small world, that we live in. And I was talking about how after Juma, my daughter was telling me that it was an older boy, 14 years old, that was bullying my grandson, who's only 9. And when she went to talk to him, he started talking disrespectful of her. And my daughter thought, well, hey, uh, maybe he's not even a Muslim. Maybe he climbed over the fence and came in here. But she said the only thing that was saving grace was that the other children said to him, why are you talking to that sister like that? So another brother came up that knew the family and went to my daughter and said, I'm going to show you with his mother. So when my daughter spoke to the mother said, well, I'm from the days, back in the days when we would reprimand each other. You should have went upside his head. But now how's my daughter? These kids, 14 and 15 years old, they're big as grown men, some of them, the boys and the girls. So, and then talking about my grandnephew, he just turned 18, but he kept fooling around out there in them streets. And when he went to go to court for sentencing, the judge was supposed to let him go. But lo and behold, they went to his social media page, and he's on there acting out, fighting and acting stupid out there in the street, and the judge remanded him to Rikers Island. Huh? Now, the other sister that I was telling you about that's having the same problem with her 15-year-old son, he's raising up on her and actually physically assaulting his mother, Muslim, snatching things from his mother, stealing out of her pocketbook, and threatening her physically. You know, the father's not there, obviously, you know, and that's what we were talking about yesterday, why Allah gives the mother and the father, you know, both of them have their own unique influence on the child, and the grandmother and the grand. Now, the way that my wife approaches my grandson is not the way I approach him, and that's the way it should be. We can't. My wife would tell, "Oh, you being too hard with him." Well, that's the way she's supposed to look at it. But I'm not being too hard with it. I'm dealing with him the way I'm supposed to deal with him, and she's dealing with him the way she's supposed to deal with him. And we have to understand that. You understand? So the only way, and my grandnephew, uh, he took Shahada about 2 years ago, and he stopped coming to Juma, you know, and giving me excuses and stuff. Oh, I had to do this, I had to go to school, I had to do that, you know. But I was sharing with them on the program yesterday. I gave Shahada to a 16-year-old boy that came in a couple of weeks ago, and he was brought in by another 17-year-old that had came there with his father. And when I gave him the Shahada, I mean, man, he hugged me so tight, it really touched my heart, you know. And I had the brothers come up and hug him, and you know, and welcome him to the community. But this is what we have to do. It takes a village. They say it takes a village, you know. Um, the sister was saying to me about my nephew. Well, aren't you monitoring him? Yeah, when he's around me, he's very respectful and everything with me. I take him and buy him some sneakers and, you know, spend some time with him. And uh, but when he's not with me, he's 18 years old. Legally, he don't have to go to school. Huh? He can join the military. Now I know that the sister's looking at, oh, he's just a child, he's just a baby. Look, them boys out there 17, 8 years old is raising hell out them streets, shooting people and killing people and doing all kind of crazy stuff, you know. So now that he's over there on Rikers Island, where it ain't no smiling, now he's realizing, oh, these people not playing with me no more. They're not sending me to these juvenile places. He was acting out in the juvenile place, and they gave him a little room and stuff. Get out my room. And I said, why are you talking to that woman like that? Would you want a young boy talking to your mother like that? You don't talk to her like that. And looking at her like he 2 seconds off jumping on her and all this kind of stuff. So the men have to play a role. You know, we have to play a role in keeping them in check. They even had a program on National Geographic, I think it was, that I like to watch. And they were talking about the young elephants. The young male elephants were out there tearing, knocking down trees and just, you know, acting like juvenile delinquents. And the bull elephants, the males had to come, when they would come around, they would stop that foolishness. You see? So we can't be afraid of our children. We have to, and I'm not telling you to be crazy now, because like I said, some of these young boys running out there in the street, they got guns on them. They're holding weapons. And not just down south where the laws are more lax, right up here in the north, you know. So you have to be careful, you know. But we can't let them just run amok and do whatever they want to do in our community. We can't allow that, you know. Um, and the brother, a good friend of mine, I don't know if he's on, but a good friend of mine, he had sent me the thing, and he was saying ninjas, but he's using the N word. They glorifying violence and killing one another and so and so. It ain't got nothing to do with white supremacy. They just ninjas. They killing one another. So I sent him that clip of them. And look, don't act like we invented it. I'm not letting us off the hook. I hear people in our community say there's no such thing as black on black violence. That's a lie. They say, well, if you don't say it's white on white violence, whether I say it or not doesn't make a difference. Are we killing one another? Yes, we are. Don't tell me that white folks are doing the same thing, because that's not my problem. Not that it's not my problem, but I'm saying that doesn't excuse you from doing it. Huh? So I said that to him because he got a tendency of saying all our problems are our own making. And I'm saying, if you got the president of the United States blowing people out of the water in fishing boats, and you got the president saying, just kill them on national TV. Well, they're going to be dead. We're going to kill them. Well, what do you expect these little ignorant people, poor people in the ghetto, if you're modeling that behavior on national television, huh? And romanticizing it, that you some type of hero, courageous warrior. Well, they're gonna do it in their little community too. They see that's how you talking about we're gonna go there and take their oil. That's gangster talk. They're gonna give us 30 billion barrels to 50 billion hours. We just gonna take it. That's your president talking. So you don't think that has an effect on the atmosphere that we in? But we have to be over our own family, our own community. That's why the family unit is so important. Now, our children are not going to be exempt from being exposed to those influences that's going on, hip hop and all this other foolishness, and sexual promiscuity and drugs and everything. No, they're not. They're not. We can't keep them in a vacuum and keep them locked in the house. But what we have to do is give them the tools that's necessary for them to navigate that terrain. The same way we do. We're not immune to it either. We have to be able to navigate that terrain that's out there. You see? And during the time of Prophet Muhammad, you know, they had the same situation. They had gangs are not new. They had gangs back then in Jahiliyyah Arabia. If you go through a certain territory, you had to pay them a tribute. You had to pay them, or they would kill you. Or maybe you pay them and they still kill you. The same thing that's going on now. And they say, well, how many men you got? I got 100 men. Huh? I got 100 men. And so they're showing gangsterism. Look, I'm not saying that Maduro was a good guy. I don't know. I don't live there. But I know that, and they say he's a dictator. He stole the election. Well, isn't that what our president said, that they stole the election from him in 2020? Did we want somebody to come in from another country and kidnap Biden and take him out and say, you stole the election? Or we don't like Trump. I don't like him. I don't know about you. But I wouldn't want a foreign country to come in here and snatch him up and put him in handcuffs and take him to their country and bomb Washington, D.C. while they're doing it. And I would say, oh, good. Yeah, I hated that, but I didn't like him. I'm glad. No, that's what you call a traitor. I would be a traitor. And the Venezuelans, they're saying they're glad that America did that. They're traitors to their country. Did you hear what I said? They're traitors to their country. I don't care whether they like them or not. I don't like Trump, but I don't want you to come in here and do nothing to him. Our own country has to deal with him. That's why I said the white man has a God complex. And he even got little Negroes that's going around saying, yes, I'm glad they did it. Why? You're not to look around the world with a pair of binoculars and see what's something going on over there. I don't like that. Let's go straighten that out. No, you got enough to straighten out right here in your own country. Obviously, anytime they can shoot a woman down in the street and kill her and then come on there and say they didn't do nothing wrong, you worried about what's going on somewhere else. I don't say you shouldn't worry about it. They're human beings. But you don't. What gives you the right to go in there and change their government? You don't have no right to do that. Just like we wouldn't appreciate anybody coming here, as bad as this government is, as many gripes and concerns as we got with this government, whether you Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter. We don't want nobody coming in here and telling us what to do. They don't have the right to do that. We have to, and we have the leadership that we deserve. Everybody gets the leadership they deserve. What better person is there to preside over the fall of America than somebody like Donald Trump? He's the perfect one. He's perfect. He's a reflection of those people because they're still applauding him. He still got some. What is his numbers? 30. Who is that 30% of the people that think he's doing a great job? I'm confused. Well, maybe that's just me. So if anybody would like to uh, join in the discussion and tell me I'm wrong or I'm off base or I'm half cocked, whatever you want to tell me, feel free to do it. Muhammad Sharif is raising his hand. Go ahead, my brother.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Imam Yusuf Ramadan.
It's
a saying you get exactly what you deserve.
That's right.
And we deserve Trump. Why? Go through scripture. That's what they don't want to do. They want to talk, talk, talk. Go to the Bible, scripture, go to the Quran, and see what happened to those who did not obey the leader that God gave them.
That's right.
Go start back in Noah. People didn't listen to Noah. What happened to them? Then the odd people after Noah, same thing. They disobeyed the leader that God gave them, wiped out.
Wiped out.
Moved. And then other generations, same thing. Well, I'm saying we getting the same thing that we deserve. God gave you Imam Deputy Muhammad after Ramadan Muhammad. You didn't support him. The whole planet know that you did not support Imam Muhammad. He gave a printed program for economic development. He gave us AMCOP. He gave us CPC. He gave us the meats. He gave us clothes. He gave us many opportunities to do something for ourselves. So we getting exactly what we deserve. All our road takes is authority. If people do not obey God, then he will bring in another people, and they will not be like you. And that's exactly what we're getting, what we deserve.
It's a bitter pill. That's a bitter pill, but you ain't wrong. That's a bitter pill. A bitter pill to swallow. But you haven't said nothing wrong. All right. I see American Muslim. Well,
it's William Kareem, Brother Imam.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know you was on.
Yeah, I didn't change my name on it. But yeah, it's a bitter pill for us to follow, but to swallow.
Yeah.
However, I would say that Imam W.D. Muhammad did a great job in giving us a moral foundation that really sustains us to this day. That when these circumstances and situation comes in, he guided us to the Quran, which is the stabilizing factor, which should be the stabilizing factor of each one of our lives. I would also say, Brother Imam, that yes, you get what you deserve, but the game has been played on the American people. And with this new technology, this technology that has come in, we've been tricked and bamboozled. But we have the foundation, which is the Constitution of the United States, which has been thrown out the window. And because this current administration is not beholden to those groups of laws that's supposed to be good for all of us, then that's why much of this is happening. The last thing that I will say, Brother Man, is this is a country of where there's 200 million European Americans or white people that in this country, 40 million African Americans, and 60 million Hispanics. So the European or the white population, they outnumber us at least 2 to 1, at least 2 to 1. And the focus and concentration of this current administration has always been to appease and direct its message toward that 200 million and cancel everybody else out. And that's what we continuously see, and that's why, like, it's they as long as they have at least 1/3 of the people, then they're going to always be successful. It has to go under 1/3. It has to at least be 25%. If they go down to 25, having 25% of the people, that's when they know they really have a problem and they've got to do something about it. But as long as he can appeal to 1/3 of the population of the United States and they go for it, then he's going to be okay. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Brother Kareem, and appreciate you all inviting me on the show yesterday. And yes, it's a problem that we have with our youth, but the problem really stems from the older people. We didn't do our job the way we supposed to, and uh, I try to keep my family close together. I try to keep us, on the deen. The best you can do is be an example. You have to be an example yourself. You know, uh, we can't let these cultural expressions, we can't let these cultural so-called holidays and everything take us out. I said I don't care what time you went to bed. In my house, you're gonna hear the adhan at the Fajr, or they just went to sleep. It don't make me no difference. Now, if you don't get up, that's on you. But you're gonna hear the adhan in my house. You understand? I wouldn't care if it was New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or whatever. It ain't my New Year. It's not my New Year. My New Year is Muharram. All right? I'm going by the Muslim calendar. Now, I know that we have to pay attention to the CE, the Christian era calendar, or the common era calendar. If you writing a check or you waiting for your Social Security to come, it's gonna come according to their calendar. That's true. That is true. But I know for a fact that what Al Islam can do for you, what it did for me. Okay, I was sharing with them how I went from being in one side of the jail to coming back in as a chaplain and working and getting paid and having keys to the jail. So you can't tell me what Allah will do for you or won't do for you, because you talking to the wall. I know better. I know what Allah would do for you. It's not might do. I know what Allah has done, and everybody on this line know what Allah has done for them. And that's what we try to train the young brothers to do the Juma, to do the khutbah and everything. We don't have as much time here as we had before. That's just a fact. It's one of our brothers that's transitioning now, and his sister was telling me that, she was trying to get him to sign some papers. And he said, "What are you trying to do? You trying to take me out of here? Look, you going out of here whether you sign or not. That's not what's going to make you get out of here, that you sign the papers." She called me and asked me for different cemeteries and things like that. She didn't want to go to the one in out in Jersey, where they have the Muslim burial ground area of the cemetery and everything. She wanted to do something close right here in New York. And I said, "You kidding?" She said, "No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't sign. He wouldn't sign the paper." That's why a lot of us won't even get insurance or make our will. Oh, that's gonna make me die. No, you're gonna die with or without the will, huh? Ain't no, don't get spooky. You're supposed to be a Muslim. You're supposed to be looking at this thing the way the Muslims look at it, not the way they look at it, huh? Yeah, not the way they're looking at it. No, you're supposed to look at this thing as a Muslim, that we all have to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's just a fact. Huh? And the Quran tells us to get your will together, your wills and trusts. And really you should be doing a trust. If you have property or anything like that, if you just leave it in a will, you're gonna have to go to probate. When my mother died, I have 5 sisters and 2 brothers. But really it was just me and my sister. Those are what you would call half brothers and sisters because, those are my father's children. But me and my sister, only 2 by my mother and father. So me and my sister wasn't fighting or nothing, but it took us 2 years to get that estate resolved. Now, what if we didn't have nothing and we needed that money to survive? It took me 2 whole years. And one day when I went up there, because my sister don't live in New York no more, she live in Jersey, and I'm living in New York, so I had to go to the courthouse and everything in Queens. But one day they said, "Oh, that's $600." Now, what if I didn't have them $600 to give to them? $600. I'm looking to get some money. You asked me to give some money. What if I didn't have it? So there's a sister down, and I don't want to do a commercial for her, but her name is Sister India Ali, and now she moved her practice. When my wife and my kid, we did put our property into the trust. You know what I mean? And so they moved their office. They right there where the masjid is. They have an office right next door to the masjid in Atlanta. So you don't have to be living in Atlanta. You can. We went down there to sign the papers and everything, but they'll do a Zoom for you and everything. You know what I mean? And that makes it much. And we were very, very impressed. If my wife was impressed, you can best believe they were doing something right. Because if she was, she ain't that easily impressed. They were extremely professional and everything, and I'm not making no money off it. I'm just telling you that and you don't have to use them if you don't want to. But I'm saying you should look into a trust, putting your property, your bank accounts, whatever, into a trust, whatever you have for your family, rather than just a regular will. But of course, if you can't do that now, and it does cost money. They charge us some money to do it. They're not doing it for free. They have a business, but if not, at least do the will like the Quran tells you to do, uh, uh, so that your family is not jammed up and they're not, fighting and arguing and bickering with one another over the little bit that you have. Uh, and even though we're not a wealthy people, some of us have some things. We got homes and we got bank accounts and we got something. And Allah, however small it is, you want to leave it to your children, your grandchildren. And this is something that you should really, really take the time while you still have the time. Time don't belong to you. Time don't belong to me. Time belongs to Allah. And you don't know how much more time you got. We're looking at all of our big giants, Elbert Shamsuddin and Jamil El Amin and Imam Jamil, and we're looking at Imam Mustafa El Amin, and I mean, so many people is dying, man. You can't even, and Imam Talib Rashid. Hey, man, don't play. Stop playing with this thing. Be very serious about it. Allah instructs us to set up our wills and trusts before we return to Him. And if I didn't get through, don't act like you got time. You don't know how much time you got. It don't belong to you or me. All right. So let's act that way. All right. All right. So we still have a little bit of time if anybody would like to join us and raise your hand, and we'll bring you in, and you can give your own assessment of what's going on. All right, I guess what we're saying is not too interesting today. I see we had more people on. People are dropping off. I guess they didn't really find what we're saying interesting. But there's Brother Ishmael Fami. You raised his hand. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes, sir. No, I just want to always remind you, I really do appreciate everything you do. I think a lot of times we be in listening mode. I had to come on 15 minutes late But I don't know if you talked about the tendency to they call the young people the YNs. did you even talk about that? That that's what we call it, what a lot of people call them now, YNs. And I'm like,
Right.
well, why don't you just call them YBs or something? So I don't know if you touched on that.
Yeah, that's what they call them.
That's what came to mind. And they do these skits. They're supposed to be funny, but in reality, they do the skits where the older people can't say anything to them because they'll brandish a gun in front of your face. They're supposed to be
Absolutely.
skits, but that's real life too. So
No, it's real. In fact, I talked about that on Brother William Kareem's show. I talked that on Brother William Kareem's show uh, yesterday. You know how and Brother Kareem worked in the Claremont School with me in Queens. He know what I'm talking about. It was a young brother that grew up in the school, and he got out there in the streets and started dealing with drugs and everything. And his father, it was because all over social media they telling men now, oh, don't marry a woman that has children. You don't want to be a stepfather, and all that stuff, right? And so this brother was a stepfather, good brother. And he said, man, and when I said, man, what are you doing with this gun? And he said, I got it for your fat behind. If you don't, and he said, he told me, the man Bakruddin, he said, that hurt me to my heart. He said, I raised that boy from a baby. His own father wasn't around. It hurt me so bad when he told me that. He said, because he, believed me, he was saying that, and he meant that. I believe that he would have shot me. And not too long after that, Allah warns us about being disrespectful to our parents. It wasn't a month had gone by, somebody shot and killed that boy.
wow,
It wasn't a
man.
month. It wasn't a month. And guess what? It was another Muslim, another young
Mm-mm-mm.
Muslim brother that also was in the Cloud Muhammad school. So, like I was saying earlier, our children are not exempt from being in these outside influences. That's just a fact. The
I
boy,
agree.
yeah, the other boy shot and killed him, and it was just a tragic, tragic situation.
Yeah. I was picking my daughter up last weekend, waiting on her to get off work. So I'm parked, and I hear all this ruckus. This young man, he didn't threw it's two young ladies. He didn't pick one of them up out the seat and threw her out the car, cussing and just he's really irritated. And so I rolled my window down. I'm just looking at them. And the girls are kind of serious, kind of laughing. And he's like, man, get out my car, get out my car. He said, y'all gonna make me shoot this so and so up. And I'm just looking at them. I'm not saying anything. So I guess he realized that I'm peeping what's going on. So eventually, he settled down. He'd be like, Unc, man, you gotta help me out, Unc. You gotta help me out. I say, you can't. I just talk. I say, man, you can't go down to that level. You're supposed to be the leader. You can't let them get you to that point. So, yeah, it's a way we have to, and we never know what's going to happen, but we have to
No,
be brave enough to talk to these young people, to give them some type of guidance because it's serious.
you have to. I
So,
mean, when I guess about 20 years ago now, I was working security, and it was at a club, and I stopped working at security because I said, man, this thing is too dangerous. And one boy was sitting in the car, and the other one walked up to the car, and they were arguing or something. And this boy pulled a gun out and aimed it at him. And you know what he told him? Go ahead and shoot me. I ain't got nothing to live for anyway. And
wow.
when he said that, that sent a chill through me because the way that he said it, he was sincere. He was serious. We have to learn and teach them what they have to live for. Now I see Sister Amira Shaheed got her hand up too. I want to get her in there. Go ahead, sister.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Imam, and to the listening audience. I just want to let you know that we appreciate the topics that you discuss with us. So some people that's not uh, bold enough to say some things that you say, and they be true and they be meaningful. So we appreciate that. But I would like for you at some point to continue on about the wills and the trust and how we should secure ourselves, in this life. Because some of us as Muslims, we have a tendency to keep our head in the sand when it comes down to pertinent issues
Oh yeah,
that concern us, even down to marriages, whether it's sooner marriages or uh, 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 secular marriages. We need to really cover our community,
that's right.
our sacredness, and so that we can stay the community that Allah intended for us. That we can't stray off and be allowed to stray off, and it be like thrown under the cover or hidden under the rug, and it don't get addressed, and people being affected by it. So we have to be truthful. True, we have to bring the truth to the light, and if we don't have an understanding of it, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it so we can get the light of understanding. But I just want to let you know that I appreciate the level that you come to us with the information that you bring to this platform. And I'll stop there.
Thank you. Well, you know what? I'm glad you said that to me, Sister Abira, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask the sister and her husband. Her husband runs, as the manager. I'm gonna ask them to come on as our guest on the show. I had been meaning to do that anyway, but when you just said that to me just now, that sparked me to realize how important it is for them to come on because I'm not a professional. They are, and that's what they do. And you don't have to use their services. I would recommend them because they worked for me, worked so well for me and my family, and and they're part of our community, So, yeah, alhamdulillah, I'm going to reach out to her and her husband, and uh, and I'm going to ask them if they would make some time to come on the show. And matter of fact, I've been a little remiss lately in getting guests. I really need to have more guests on the show, but they're going to be the first ones that I'm going to reach out for. All right. I don't know if you people still have your hands up from before, but American Muslim 360, Sister Martha, did you want to add something? You got it.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. And I apologize. I came in as my other phone went dead where I had put my name in. Shame on me. But yes, sir. And thank Allah for you. As we're listening, we get so comfortable with listening and your projection of what you're sharing. I wanted to also connect with everything that's been said, the young people, as you were speaking about. And I am, let's see how you put this, in trusting Allah and as we say, tie our camel. My grandson and I were speaking, and we said, what does that camel look like? You know what I mean? What
Right.
does that camel look like? Is it your awareness, tying your camel, being really sincere, uh, not being suspicious, because that can become a sin and a way of erring where you will find yourself just on edge, being suspicious. Is this person meaning me well, or are they willing to about to do harm to me? But the so I'm saying trusting Allah and tying your camel in the faith, and then actualizing it with other physical things that you can. An extension of that also is from the suspicion is talking to the young people, as I think Ishmael was saying, speaking with the young people, but having a sound heart and mind as to the goal in mind of what you're reaching for. We're finding now here in Florida, that uh, the yesterday's process is not going to, we can't just use it and see that it's going to work like it did, going out and talking loud and being at the doorway of people's homes or storefronts or what have you. It may come back into view to be used, but I'm seeing now really respecting the intellect that is there, that, and I'm saying it's like the female that's been buried alive, the ability to think and take to heart what you're saying and how you're doing things. I'm comparing that to burying the intellect has been buried alive. So to resurrect that intellect by Allah's leave, of course, is to get connected with them from a basis of sincerity, not looking down, not going with any kind of presupposed negative thought of looking down upon them, but really going heart to heart with the intent. to share what Allah has shared with blessed us with. So I'll stop right there.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Sister Lala, Haja Lala. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Go right ahead. You have to unmute you. Let me unmute you. All right, go right ahead. Unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, alaikum salam. Oh, my brother,
Oh,
how you doing?
Muhammad Mubarak.
You on you
Yes,
move up?
how
Yeah, you
you?
got you're on your
Hello?
wife's phone. You're on your wife's phone.
Yeah, yeah. Something just caught me. I just wanted to say, when you mentioned about the young man said he had nothing to live for, it's partly our fault because we don't give them uh, an environment and we don't have enough recreation centers or social centers, big brothers they used to have or mentors
Right.
to try to provide them skills in an environment where they don't be gravitated to all that negativity, and the boy will have some more value for his life. And if he don't have that type of social setting, that's just how it's gonna turn out, regardless what school they go to and how many Muslim schools and environment they go to. If we don't give them a structure where they can be constructive, it's not saying that we're not gonna lose some people, because we're gonna lose some people
Yeah.
that gonna be influenced, regardless whether we set up something. But we should be making it our purpose to find out how we can get buildings, schools, or whether we're gonna rent them or whether we're gonna buy them, and start
Yes.
setting a structure for our children to practice this Islam under the teachings of Imam Daridi Muhammad. And they have to know their history
Right.
from the Nation of Islam, because when they come to Islam, most of them take Shahadatain and they just go on following anybody. They
Yeah.
don't know that they need, if they Bilalian, they should know about the teachings that came through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and why we're able to practice Islam here in North America the way we are.
That's right. Sure, you're
So I
right.
think we need to work on that. We all need to work on that.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you for the time. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Well, it's funny, and I've straightened these people out on the social media. I was looking at a platform yesterday, was it yesterday or earlier today? And this sister's on there talking about the Imam took over the Nation of Islam and the reason why they threatened the life of Minister Farrakhan. That's the reason why they took over. And I said the Imam didn't take over nothing. The Imam was chosen by the leadership of the Nation of Islam, and they even physically lifted him up on their shoulders. And we have the video to prove it. So don't come on there talking this stupidness. Don't come on there talking this nonsense about the Imam took over or he assumed. The Imam didn't assume nothing. And he said that. Stop talking about I assumed the leadership. I didn't assume nothing. They selected Imam W.D. Muhammad. Okay? That's a fact.
That's a fact, Imam. You're right. That's a fact.
And I'm sick and tired of them lying and putting all kind of crazy stuff on the internet about our leader. We have to speak up the same way they speak up and defend Minister Farrakhan, who they want. We have to do the same thing. I'm tired of it.
A lot of them going on the internet. There's almost a whole nother community of Muslim out on the internet talking that foolishness, and nobody's saying nothing to them.
I know it. And one of them, well, he's not on there so much anymore. I'm not gonna say his name. I don't want y'all to even support him. But he used to talk real bad about the man, maybe 15, 20 years ago. So I know him, and I know his whole family very well. Knew his father. His father was in the nation. They was all in the nation. They was with. Now he never really accepted the man, but his brothers and them did. And he would be all there talking so disrespectful about the man. So one day I got on the plane and he was on there. Assalamu alaikum. Man, I looked at that Negro and I walked right past. He's like he was trying to shake my hand. Man, you ain't gonna shake my hand. You don't
No,
be talking about my leader like that and think you supposed to salam me. I don't wish you no peace.
no,
I
hell
walk
no.
I walk right past him.
Well, heck, boy.
And Kareem know who I'm talking about. Kareem know who I'm talking about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, his
Me too.
father.
I walked right past him too, brother.
I mean, he went out of his way to talk bad about the Imam, you know, and I know him to be a nut. I know, well, he didn't like Farrakhan either, to tell you the truth. He hated Farrakhan too, but the man was just a nut, you know what I mean? And I haven't seen him, but he used to be on. Matter of fact, he had a pretty big following on YouTube one time. Yes, he did. He had a pretty big following, but we got to speak up. You know, at one time I didn't want to say nothing because I figured, you know, if you give oxygen to a fire, it just gets bigger. You know what I mean? So I tried to ignore him. But when I saw him in person, my spirit just told me, man, I'm not greeting this man. This man got the nerve to talk about my leader like that and think it's just and me and him supposed to be friendly with one another.
No
Not me.
way.
Not me.
Mm-mm.
All right.
His brother
Kareem.
is his brother Ishmael still on. What is that? Engineer NG that you say they're using. What is that, Brother Ishmael?
Oh, YN. YN. You,
What's
that means a young ninja.
Young Ninja?
Yeah, you can put it's ninja with an ER on the end.
A
That's a
young Negro.
that's a
but,
no. That
but
now he's not a Negro. That's a young nigger.
well, that's what it means.
Okay.
That,
Okay.
See
that's
that
what.
during the days of the Negro, we did some good things. Martin Luther King and Reverend Abernathy, all of those with the
That,
freedom movement.
that was my whole point, Brother Muhammad. You're right. We didn't want to say it. You said it.
You said it. I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble with CWSC because they told me to stop using that word.
Well, I just, brother, ma'am, I just wanted to say to you all that, you know, it's very important that we as a community are learning to talk their language with I attack, never whack with the pumping tracks and never saw fussing off like a 9 or a Mac 10 minus 7 equals 3. Stepping to Yusuf is like stepping to me, and that's suicide. So I'm saying that to you that that's their language and that's what they listen to. And, you know, we have to understand that hip hop is definitely the future for them.
Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of that hip hop, they have that drill music and stuff, and that's what they actually talking about killing each other and shooting each other and putting it on their videos and stuff. And we can't support that. We
No,
Can't
can't.
but we
support
do
it.
have a lot of Muslim artists. We have a lot of Muslim artists.
Oh yes.
We can't support that. That the language is gonna take them right to death or to the
We
prison.
all I'm saying to you is that with the young people, we have a lot of Muslim artists that we should support.
Yeah, we do.
The
But like the
good
brother
ones.
said,
The good ones.
Yeah.
yeah, well, you
And
know.
that speaks their language. That speaks their language. That's the only point I'm making. Thank you.
All right. Well, my time is up. You know what I mean? And my name is Joe, and I got to go.
Got to go.
Got to go. They say you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here.
Right.
so, so we appreciate all y'all listening and participating with us. You've been listening to New Day for Islam in America, American Muslim 360 edition, and we pray that you have a Juma Mubarak, a blessed Juma, and you and your family continue to stay healthy and happy, and hold on to the rope of Allah. It's the most trustworthy handhold that never breaks. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Salam.
Wa alaikum assalam.